All right. Peace and blessings. This is your brother Gabar, and this is IAMFIT Podcast, and we are coming to you live from the Boogie Down Bronx. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let me bring in my co-host, Duran. How we doing, sir? How has been and how is your weekend so far?
Shalom, shalom, elder. Week's been going good. Shalom, everyone. How you everybody doing today?
Blessings, bless. Let me bring Brother Ricky. I think I see Brother Ricky. Shalom, Brother Ricky. Can you hear me?
Shalom, Elder. I can hear you. I'm loud and clear. Sorry about that. I'm late.
Outstanding. Well, I had some technical difficulties with my first link. I don't know. It was a loop, and there was an echo coming back at me. This is what we risk when we go live, right? But I wanted to kind of, have a conversation today. I want to also thank you guys for joining me because I think this is an important conversation in regards of, what's going on in just in the Christian church. And when I said the Christian church in general, I'm talking about all from Roman Catholics to the Hebrew Israelites, right? Those that believe in Christ. There's a diversity of people that do this. Let me just fix something real quick, guys. All right, perfect. So, and what I'm realizing that there is a conversation, there's a pattern, there is a culture that has been developed within the Christian churches. And it doesn't matter whether you're Hebrew Israelite, Catholic, Protestant, Messianic Jew, whatever. It's hard to stay married in America, right? So you guys are in your 30s. I am in my 50s, been married for 30 years. Of course, we have gone, we have our ups and downs. I know Brother Ricky, I know you're a father, Brother Duran, you're a father too. I know you guys been in a relationship and you know how it is out there because you kind of like in the dating pool now, right? You guys in your 30s single, so what do you see in your end? What are you guys are seeing in your end in regards of the dating? Because I think I'm a bad person to ask and advise because I haven't been in a dating pool on a date, figuring it out who I'm going to marry, who I'm going to date. That's kind of like your guys' generation, and I know you guys believe in God, so I know there's some challenges there because, it's just much more than just a big buck and a smile. How is the dating scene out there, and can we talk about? Because I want to talk about some statistics.
Well, I'm gonna use the phrase that someone that I know told me. Apparently, it's the way they put it is it's elderly people urine in the dating pool. That's how bad it is.
Repeat that again.
What they told me was that it's elderly people's urine in the dating pool, not just regular urine, but elderly
people. Okay, so
urine.
elaborate.
So
So
it's
give
that
me more.
bad.
What's that
Like
means?
it's basically meaning it's that bad. Like the
Is
dating
that
pool
bad?
is that bad.
Hmm.
Relationships now are slim to none. Most people are living the what do you call it? The living my best life. Is monogamy has gone out of the window. Is more so people are more so just want to hook up versus traditional family.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
traditional family has gone out of the window, and more so the ideology of family now more so. And I'll speak from what I understand the women's perspective that I'm getting is more so the trophy husband, the trophy children versus the traditional values of legacy, family, generations kind of thing. It's more
Oh,
so another notch in their belt. I got the degree, I got the house, I got the husband, I got the kids.
okay.
Just like it's almost like a bucket list kind of thing.
Okay, but let me
Um,
ask you guys this question as well because I did ask AI
mhm.
right in regards of what is the statistics specifically in marriage couples because a lot what you said, Brother Duran, and I gotta get used to pronouncing your name. Is Duran like Duran or Duran? Like Duran, I'm showing my age.
Yeah, like
Duran
you
Duran.
thinking of Duran Duran,
Yeah,
the
that's what it's
music
sticking.
group.
And so I'm It's showing my age. I'm
it's a
surprised. I'm surprised you guys know that. That group.
yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
my old supervisor used to do that to me. He used to always say, Duran, come
Right.
here. And I
Oh,
it used to
okay.
it just be like, oh man, whatever. But it's pronounced Duran. And then
Duran.
my mom, when I was in trouble, she would always say Darren. So that's when I knew when I was in trouble with her. She would call me Darren. So just by natural, I'm just used to hearing
Darren. Yeah.
either
Darren.
Duran or Darren.
So is
Yeah.
Darren? You comfortable with Darren? Is that
I'm
something?
comfortable with either
Either
or
or.
because I'm just
Okay.
so used to hearing it my whole
Right.
life. So like
Yeah,
I
Darren.
said, yeah.
Right.
So Duran, if it's easier to say Duran, that's cool. Darren, I go by that because again, when my mother was coming down, it was Darren. Yes, ma'am. It
Right.
was no,
Exactly.
it was no correct to her. So just by default, I'm used to just answering to both. But yeah,
So, brother Duran, everything you just say, right,
yes, sir.
is what will you see in a secular conversation about the dating pool, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Yes.
if you're like in Fresh and Fit, or you are in
Hmm.
these podcasts, that is usually the what you hear, right?
Hmm.
Women want to be more career orientated.
Hmm.
Women don't want to be stuck in the house, just raising children. They want more out of life.
Hmm.
Women are pushing marriage and commitment much later, and focus on the career.
Hmm.
Men, they are expecting to kind of be the breadwinner, having difficulties to do that because of the economy is getting so bad that most household need two incomes.
Hmm.
We hear that, right?
Hmm.
But are you saying, right? Because the conversation, or the is within the Christian community, right? Is
Hmm.
those issues, because we all been part of churches, right?
Hmm.
Either grew up one, some of us came from the same church, GOCC. Shout out to the
Hmm.
brothers there and the sisters there, right?
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
so we had some experience in the Christian church. What do you see? Because according to the statistics, right? And let's read this, right? I asked AI, right? What is the statistics of Christian marriages? It says, while it's often assumed, and this is
Hmm.
something that I used to assume too,
Hmm.
that Christian marriages have long divorce rate or low divorce rate. Statistics shows that they mirror the general population. There's no
Hmm.
change there, right? And I did some other statistics from our Barna Group, okay, that says in 2008, the Barna Group released some troubling statistics. 33% of Christian are divorced versus 30% of atheists or agnostics. So it's actually in 2008, it was higher that year,
Hmm.
right? Um, the National Opinion Research Center says that 42% of Christian marriages end in divorce versus 50% of non-Christian. It's a little lower than the actual, but it's mirror. It's very close. It's
Hmm.
not that it's probably 5 to 10% of difference. But so if the mirror of divorce looks the same in regards to the Christian household versus an atheist household, can we have a conversation? What is then wrong with the Christian church? What is wrong with, well, not even said the Christian church, what is wrong with Bible believers? Why are we not doing that much better? Some, say some a little better,
Hmm.
but not that much better, right? And in 2008, as this article says, that it actually was higher that year than atheists or agnostics.
Hmm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I think we have to have a real unapologetic conversation about, hey, uh, why that is. And we supposed to be the light of the world, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I would expect, to be honest, in the 80s, at least 70s, right? Divorce, marriage longevity. right? And or I would look at the divorce, if it's 70, I would look down maybe 30, 25% divorce rate, right? It should be longer because there are, biblically speaking, I would think, we could argue this and people argue this, and we had a conversation about this and on our podcast, that there is a systemic issue within America and divorce rate. I lost my thought. It will come back to me in regards to this conversation. But what is the issue is, if we have a situation that the Christian church mirrors society in regards of the divorce rate, what are we doing wrong as Christians, right? And I'm going back to the thought because it came back to me in regards of there are some arguments, or there is, some Christians or some Bible believers say there's no divorce for any reason for any time, right? Other, like you're bound unto death. Some Christians will say, well, if the spouse commit adultery, right, fornication or things of that nature. Other people say, well, the law of divorce or the Deuteronomy laws in 24 still stands. So if you find something unpleasant with your wife, you could divorce her, right? So there's debate about that. But 99.9% of the reasons why people are getting divorced is not because of that, right? It's not that often, because if that was the case, they will record that, right? And so forth, so on. So what do you guys think? Why are we having this issue in the Christian church? And we suppose it's not that much better than other other communities. And I was trying to get some verified statistics. I think Muslims are like the number one religious institution that stay married. I think, but I need to confirm that. I didn't have time because I was rushing from work. But why do you think? Why is the Christian church or the Christian believers failing in marriage?
I think one big thing is, before you get to the faith base, I think that, or at least I'll speak for America, we've been socialized first. And then we've been socialized against biblical marriage. I think modern day marriage just doesn't work.
So so you think, because what America has proven to believers is that we're not that strong in regards of our faith. We don't have the power. We need more communal encouragement, because it's extremely hard, right, for us to not be influenced by the negativity. Even though we may be going to church every week, we may be reading the Bible. The influence is overwhelming to the point that evil is winning. I mean, I don't want to get into your personal life, brothers, in a series, but my understanding is you guys dated women that believe in God, correct? And how those things worked out.
Yeah. The way a Christian relationship should turn out.
You understand what I'm saying? So what's going on? And I'm not trying to blame all on women, and we do have the link if sisters want to come in and say and share some ideas, or other brothers who may disagree with me. Maybe it's our fault, right? Men, so let's look at this, right? Because I think, right. So this is let me go here. So it says people also ask, right? What are the stacks for divorce? And it's 50%, blah, blah, blah. Who initiate 90% of divorce? Women, right? And that the women initiate divorce more than often than men. Okay. What is the number one cause for divorce? It's estimated that 35% responsibility long-term divorce studies and lack of commitment. What that means? Lack of commitment.
People aren't
Uh,
trying. Lack of commitment,
Emotion.
they don't try.
it's,
Emotion.
Mm-hmm.
it's just it's weird because it used to be infidelity was the number.
Finances.
Well, it used to be infidelity. Finance was the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Or finance with tie, I think it was. But now
Those
those, I guess I'm still holding on to the stacks in the 90s, right? If lack of commitment, what does that even mean? Right? What does that even mean? Which religion has the highest divorce rate in the world? Okay. Christians. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Christians have the highest divorce rate among major religion group.
that makes sense.
We're doing horrible. This is horrible. Is the divorce rate 70%? Current the U.S. in 2004 between 40 to 50%. Okay, why is the U.S. divorce rate so high? Okay, the divorce rate is high because people are not happy in their marriages. Okay, who suffers most in divorce? Women
Man,
and children. Well,
that's debatable.
that's debatable.
Debatable.
That's a
Which
flat
gender
out
is
lie.
more? Which gender is more loyal in a relationship? Let's see.
Man,
Okay, before I click, who do you guys think? Let me put this a little
men,
bigger.
men.
Hold on. The world gonna say women, because remember, this world caters to what the emotion is versus the Most High God. So everything's gonna cater towards women, just like the laws and stuff like that. And so
Okay, so anybody on
that's what
the
I believe.
audience, let me know. Is there who do you think is going to be, which gender is more loyal in a relationship?
Men.
You could put M for men, W for women. I'm just curious. What do you think? Let's go. Drum roll, please. Both men and women can be equally loyal. Okay, loyalty is in a relationship is not independently a gender. It is complex. So it's just it's equal among both gender.
Mm.
Well,
We asking Google.
I'm asking Google, but I will have to kind of agree with that. I want to tell you why. Because,
Mm.
or maybe it may be true because it used to be men, right? If you ask your grandmothers, like, hey, the granddad, ever, went out on you, and yes, I knew he had somebody in the side uptown named Sally. I didn't say, you understand? That happens a lot, within our grandparents and so forth, so on. And so, did women has someone on the side as well? I don't know. The statistics show that now it's kind of equal. I think they did
Right.
a statistics that or a thing that 40% of the children that get DNA or parents who get DNA, 40% of the time the father ends up not being the father. And this is
No, I think
own
it's 60%.
60%. Okay.
Yeah, look it up. I was just
Let's
listening to a podcast the other day, and they were saying there's like 60%. No, the actual rate was like 70% of the time the man is not the father of those
it's
children.
pretty high, and these are
And in Jamaica, it's
only
worse.
in Jamaica is worse. My goodness.
Yeah.
So that may be that it may be right that both gender are to blame, and there may be a time that it's going to surpass women are going to surpass men. Who knows, right? How many divorce are causes by cheating? So it says 20 to 40% of divorce
That's less
being
than half.
linked in cheating. Okay. What are the three C's of divorce? Whatever that. Okay, this is all commentary stuff. Okay, what years of marriage is divorce most common? I heard 5 to 8. Yeah. So if you could make it through that 5th year, you have a good, if you can make it to a decade, I think you're set for life. What are the 5 stages of divorce? Okay, that's I just want stacks. What state has most divorces? Okay, which states? Alaska.
Mm.
I never imagined. Why Alaska? That makes no sense. There's nobody up in Alaska.
It's already cold and lonely and dreary up there.
Yeah, you're probably right. If people like, let me get
Yeah.
out of here. All right, Alaska
Let
is
me get
the
out of
highest
here.
divorce rate in the United States, specifically the refrain divorce rate in Alaska was 21 women divorcing per. Yeah, I think what it is, yeah, because I think women are not. It's more like a rough terrain for men. The women don't want to be there. So right, why don't men file for divorce? When ending marriage, fear, losing their losing parental rights role. Finance is cheaper to keep her than to leave her. Yep.
No, now hold on, Elder. Check this out. Now you see what you just read, right?
Okay, what
now,
we just read? What I missed?
Now, this is how you show that Google is biased. Because how can you read this right here? And we just went up and it says, who does divorce affect more? They claim that it was the women and children. Well, how could it be women and children? And right here it says, why don't men file for divorce? But if you read this reason, that automatically contradicts the previous statement of what we was talking about before.
Yeah.
So that's why you got to pay attention and read.
Right, but and also the stats that women and children will lose out more out of a divorce is an outdated one, because that was the reason why the divorce laws like alimony and child support were implemented, and it's not a new concept. And I probably going to do a show on this subject, that alimony is not a new concept. We could find that in the Middle East, ancient culture, Africa. Each culture, it had a different culture approach to the situation. But in early America, it was like if you divorce a wife, because back in the days, dudes used to just break out and leave their family, right? And we're talking about early America, right? And then the woman had to either find a new husband or figure it out, and then, or either, that's where prostitution used to be a thing. But then to resolve that issue, then alimony came in, and then, of course, child support came in, and all these other things to protect the women. But I think what happened is that lawyers and the legal system, or the privatized capitalist legal enterprise, realized we could make money off of this. Right? Divorce. So it became a monster, but it first started with good intention, if that makes sense. And because it's supposed to have been that if you want to divorce your wife, you're supposed to give her something to hold her off to at least. And it was like, and in the beginning, it was like, it all depends. Like, if a woman committed adultery, she would not get anything. It will have to be like if the man doesn't want her anymore and the wife is doing her duty. So it was some responsibility in regards of the wife doing the right thing in a divorce, in regards of alimony, right? But now it doesn't matter, because I just don't like him anymore. We grew apart. He's not fulfilling my dream. You know what I mean? It could just be anything, and that's where the greed and the money comes in, right? So let's see. Which race has the lowest divorce rate? That's interesting. What do you guys think? I would probably say Hispanics.
Yeah, because the Asians, the Asians, they right behind America now. Like, because China has had to change their laws because remember, just like the Bible talked about how China, he gonna pull them in by the hooks of their nose, because they have been following the concept of America, because
Right.
they want to be America.
Yeah.
So if you want to be something that's not that great, you're gonna become that. So
right.
they're going through a massive overhaul right now in China as far as the
So you're
divorce
probably
laws and
right.
stuff.
I would say either Middle Eastern or Hispanics.
Correct.
What say you guys?
I would agree.
Drum roll.
Drum roll. Let's see what happens. Here we go. In the United States, Asian America generally has the lowest divorce rate across different racial and ethnic groups. Studies consistently show that Asian American, and this is only America, so you know,
Right.
it may be different, you know, in Asia. American experience lower rates of divorce compared to whites, blacks, and Hispanics population. I wonder if it's in that order, right? Well, what's the, you know, but Asian American is the lowest rate of divorce. That's interesting. Okay. What is the average age for divorce? When do people say, oh, 40? You know, that would make sense because that's when you get like your midlife crisis. You know, you midlife in your 40. Most of the time you're 40, you're ready. Whatever it is you're doing, that's what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Whatever defines you, right, for the most part, right? So 40, sometimes people, you know, and that will be like an unhappy marriages, right? How often do men file for divorce? 30%. I said, well, it is commonly believed that men into a larger percentage of divorce. Yeah, 30% basically show that women initiate majority of divorce, particularly around 60 to 70%. Men initiate divorce at a lower rate, generally around 30%. Okay. Who additionally divorced? That's a woman. We already know that. Significant divorce. Okay. What does the Bible says about divorce? Well, that could be what AI. You know, it's going to be general. Right. Let's see what AI says. Right. Hey, Brother Ricky, can you read that? Let me put this a little bigger for the people.
All right.
See what we have here.
The Bible presents a complex view on divorce, generally considering it undesirable but acknowledging it as a possible under specific circumstances. While God's ideal is for marriage to be a lifelong covenant, the Bible recognizes that sin, particularly adultery or abandonment by an unbelieving spouse, can create situations where divorce is permissible.
Right, and that's I think in First Corinthians chapter 11 or 7, I want to say, Paul addresses that, right? Who usually appear after divorce? Who's usually happier after divorce? Who do you guys think that's gonna be?
It depends on the time period. Like, are we talking about from 1 year to 5 years, or are we talking about from 5 years to 15 years? Because typically, at first, the woman feels relieved, and now she got this alimony coming in, child support coming in. She done got the house, she got the car and the dog. But then when she done blew all the money because she really never been financially responsible, and that money started running low, the kids done turned 18. Now you ain't getting child support no more. Now you got to start really fending for yourself. Then the tides change.
So you're saying it all depends. It could go into a high for women and then a low at the end once the some money runs out. Okay. Brother Ron, what do you think? You think it's men or women? I would say I think. Well, now it will be generally women will be more happier, but you're right. It all depends what they're at it. You know, because I think men initially, and I think is the other way around. I think a woman has a high, and then she has a low. I think a man starts with a low, child support, alimony, this, that, I lost the house, I have to rebuild. But then later on, when he rebuilds, I think he then is happier. So in the beginning, I think it's initially the woman is happier, but then later on she's not. and especially if she doesn't find another boyfriend or husband or whatever, right? And the man is first stressed out, but once it's further away from him and he's able to rebuild, he could maybe find more happiness. But let's see what AI, right? It says women are significantly more content than usual for men for 5 years following the end of the marriages, even more so than their own averages. Okay, so
I mean, because they also elder said that,
who knows?
you know, a man will suffer to keep his family together, while a woman would divorce quicker because she's more concerned about her happiness first.
Right.
So, and that's what today's statistics are saying, you know, that's different from 10, 15 years ago.
So it said, who regrets divorce the most? Says men tend to regret it more often than women. I don't know. I have to agree with that. I have to disagree with that. I have to disagree with that. I have to
You
disagree
got to
with that.
remember sometimes there's a tactic. You know, Kevin Samuels is best known for saying shame, insult, guilt need to be right.
Right.
So if you want, because the thing is this, when men are in control, then things are held together. And so by when you want men to, when you're trying to keep a man contained, you use bully tactics, playing word games and all these mind games to try to keep him in this construct that you want. So then they'll say stuff like this to be like, well, the men are suffering more. No, they're not. better look around.
Yeah,
So
because I like statistics. However, though, I'm very cautious of statistics because it does
Mhm.
shape your mind, right? If you believe that um a good perspective, because statistics supposed to be based on reality, right? It's
Mhm.
just numbers. How many people get divorced every year? How many people die versus how many people are born? How many people you understand? How many cars are sold and bought every year? How many people take going in on a plane every year on average?
Mhm.
And I like statistics because they don't lie. However, though, I think we have to be very careful when we have these type of statistics because how can you prove it, right? How can you,
And
because yeah, you could maybe gather 2,000 people that have been divorced from different racial groups and different ethnic background, but how often people are going to be honest, even when they're not, right?
yeah,
Yeah, people, yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I never been better in my life. Yeah, right?
like,
That's in the inside they're crying, but the
right.
outside, no, I'm good, right? I'm I'm
Yeah,
I'm,
good.
I'm the best ever. You know,
Typically, what I do is when I want to figure out what the thought of the day is, I'll go to social media and use that, and I'll just kind of filter through, comments, a post and stuff like that, and kind of gather a
right,
little bit of data. And what I'm seeing, just based in the social media world, a lot of women are regretting getting divorced later on, and they've been coming out and saying, "I made a mistake. I shouldn't have listened to my girlfriends. Actually, he was a good man. I was being selfish. I was being
yeah,
self-centered. I was being controlled." And a lot of women are now in that 40, mid 40, 50s are regretting getting divorced and saying, you know what, I should have actually stayed in this marriage because they're finding out that, again, number one, the dating scene ain't what they
mm,
thought that it was. And then number two, society has given society, the controllers of society have given society a false illusion of the world that wasn't real for them. Like you said, climbing the corporate ladder, once they get to the pinnacle of that ladder, they found out that it's empty. There's nothing there, and I'm using that, from the women's perspective. But a lot of men are saying on the social media world that, women weren't being patient. They were trying to build and things like that because most guys, the average guy, they don't come out rich. They have to build their wealth. They have to build their legacy. And
right.
then because we're being socialized, a lot of women think that men have to provide this lavish lifestyle immediately, and that's just not realistic. That's
Yeah.
not realistic at all. It's creating a coveting society where everybody wants, and that's not real at all.
So what you guys, I think, are telling me is that there is no difference, that much of a difference.
Mm-mm.
So in regards to Christian versus non-Christian,
Mhm.
so are Christian women now saying I need to focus on a career too? Uh, there needs to be a
I mean,
50.
they.
What are the problems having in the Christian church? Let me give you some example and see if you guys think this is a good idea. Um, churches are great, however, not all the time. You know,
Mhm.
churches sometimes are, corruption, or there's issues with the pastor, or doctrinally speaking, a new revelation comes in that you disagree with, right? And what I have noticed is that if that marriage is not strong, or the relationship with the church is stronger, or one of the spouse has a stronger relationship with the church than the other, and if there's a disagreement, whether it be both of them are disagreeing, right? But one of them is going to stay because they're going to pray for the prophet, they're going to pray for the pastor, they're going to pray for the bishop, the elders, right? And another one is going to say, "No, I'm out of here. I'm not paying my tithes to these crooks or these corrupt people or whatever," right?
Mhm.
Or I disagree, doctrinally speaking. This is not right, right?
Mhm.
I see that if the marriage is not solid, that could affect a marriage. Like, in other words, a church can divide a marriage. I seen it.
Right.
Yep.
Brother, she's going off. Sister, he's going off. And they start using these, these extreme words: demons, possession, the devil
Mhm.
got him,
Mhm.
right? He has spirit. Watch out for scoffers. And then you start thinking us against them mentality, right?
Mhm.
So I see. So because I want to focus specifically, why is divorce happening in the same rate as in the world in regard to Christian churches? But I think we have to start asking questions why there is divorce, because they may be a little different, right? It may be for different reasons. For the it may not be that Christian women are they're not looking to like be part of the corporate ladder. I From my experience, that has not been the problem. Meaning, most Christian couples that I have counseled, it was more the same thing. My wife doesn't respect me, or I'm trying to establish something. The biggest problem is women being in order, right, under their husband. Not
Mhm.
necessarily. I don't ever remember getting a phone call, Elder, my wife is doing, overtime, or at work, she's not paying. I don't, have seen that argument. It's always been, I gone through trauma. I'm having issues trusting men, or I didn't grow up, my mother didn't teach me this. I didn't grow up with my father, so I don't know a strong father figure. It's always those type of trauma.
Mhm.
It's, so I think, although the divorce rate is similar in regard to how many Christians get divorced versus atheists, I think the reasonings are different. They're related. They're in the same neighborhood, but it's a little different. And I
Mhm.
think the church has become the dumping ground of what I would consider women. And I'm talking about focusing women and men. I want to focus on the men for a minute, but I want to focus on the women. The churches have become a lot for women that are either toxic, deal with trauma, and they go to the church to get fixed. Right. So it's not like it's not like a thing that a woman will come in and they all, it's fine. It's all, life is good. It's always a backstory.
Mhm.
So I think there's a lot of damaged people, men and women. But I think one of the number one reason as an elder that I have seen counseling couple has always been past trauma. And now women that are manipulative in the world, right? Women that are, these, boss chicks, whatever, women are out there. When you attack them, they usually use their trauma in the past as a defense to become a victim, right? Oh, I didn't know my father. I'm a victim. Oh, I grew up in poverty. Oh, I was molested. Yeah, not to say those things are not bad. They are bad, but I think they use it as a defense, as like, don't judge me, because it's almost like the small hats, right? I didn't say those words, code words. When you criticize them, oh, the Holocaust, oh, anti-Semitic, right? It's like they don't, not all of them, to be clear, but that's a thing, especially with the Zionists. And that's what I noticed, that if you go to a Christian church, you're going to find the most damaged women. The only difference between them and the women in the world, at least these women are trying to some degree, but they, old habits die hard, I think. What do you guys think? What say you guys? Do you think I'm onto something? Do you think is it or is the is the same thing? Because when you hear out in the ether, right, is women saying, I'm not traditional anymore. Men, I need to understand that women are making their own money. We got something to contribute. We're not going to be, in your beck and call, right? That's what you hear out in the world, but you don't hear that in the Christian world so much. I don't think. It's always my husband and I, we having issues communicating because when I was a little girl, somebody said something nasty to me or bad, or something bad happened to me. Now there's always some trauma. That's a major thing that I hear a lot. Whether it be true or not, whether they're using this as a like the small hash deal with the Holocaust thing, right? And some women, I have even heard generational curses. Elder, we're dealing with generational curses. Nothing happened to me, but the Bible says generational curses, right? I have heard that a lot, right? And I'm going to get to the man for a minute, but now, do you guys agree with that? Do you believe I'm missing something? Do you believe that
Now
perhaps?
you onto something, but like you just said, it's the it's what the small hat people do. It's just your excuse to continue to fail, underperform, and not take accountability for your current state. Like, yes, those things are true. Those things did occur. They happened, but how long you gonna stand on that? How
So,
long you
let me
gonna
ask you.
stand on?
Yeah,
I didn't grow up with a dad. That's no different than men. I didn't grow up with a dad, but
right.
I didn't just abandon my children and say, well, I didn't grow up with a dad. Well, that's why I'm not a father. That's an
Yeah,
excuse.
yeah,
That's an excuse not to be accountable. And each
yeah.
party, and since we're dealing with women, you can't use trauma, lack of, whatever be the case, as your excuse not to do what you know you're supposed to do. And that's my thing. Like, I think that Christian women, I slap them on the wrist a little bit more because you're supposed to know better than the people in the world. The people in the world, it's okay for them to use that excuse. Not that it's okay, but it's more palatable for them to use that excuse. But you know better because you have the answers. When you open up the scriptures, God gave you the answers. It's either you're going to apply it or you're not. But you're
Yeah,
using your de facto excuse to get out of accountability for what you know you're supposed to be doing.
right, right. And Brother Ricky, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think a missing component in this is the fact that the Word of God said, "Let everything be done in spirit and in truth." Do the Christian church speak truth? No. Do they do things in the spirit? Not the Most High Spirit. It's a spirit, but not the Most High Spirit. When you got the Jamal Bryants and the Creflo Dollars and the T.D. Jakes and the Kenneth Copelands and then Eddie Long before he passed away, speaking these jacked up genres to women, messing up their minds even more because these jive turkeys looking for money. Greed has jacked up our people. You got these men who supposed to be men of God when they're really just men of frauds. and they're speaking demonic things into these women. These women flock to these men because they speak things that they love to hear because they have itching ears. And these men speak with words who smooth as butter, as the word of God say. And instead of speaking the truth and saying, well, sister, check this out. You want a man of God, you got to take accountability. Because when this man is out there in the world working, trying to handle business, trying to grow, he can't sit up there and say, well, I'm underperforming at work because, when I was a kid, my daddy didn't show me how to build a truck. No, that ain't acceptable. There's always some excuse. Now, because my thing is this. A person die and it's judgment day. Are you going to be able to stand before the Most High God and say, well, Heavenly Father, I couldn't do my best because when I was a kid, my daddy wasn't there to take me to the fair. No, that ain't going to happen.
It ain't going to happen.
Grow up. The Most High God don't care about that mess. So because so many lies have been spoken and people don't want to grow up, then that creates this disdain where you got the men is upheld at this standard here, and then the woman can sit up here and play this game that's down here. So then it creates this problem where it's just like, you know what? For the men that are busting their behind to do the right thing, they be like, you know what? I'm gonna focus on what I need to do for the Most High and myself and my child, and then whatever happens, happens. And then you got the woman sitting up there be like, well, he was like this and he didn't want to do that. And it's like, when do you pay attention to you? So it's unfair when you got one side who has to take, because as far as men, and I'm talking about men, I don't care about boys and this YN stuff that's going in. As far as men, in the real world, you get no excuses. We got to make it happen.
Zero.
But for women, it's, oh, well, we got women's shelter. You got your cousin to go to. Oh, put this man on these government things that can help her out. If everybody was put on a merit base to you're gonna fall till you ball, then accountability would be upheld to the highest standard, and then both will be able to meet at the helm and work together. And
now,
I think
let me
that's
ask you
something that's
guys a
being talked
question. Let me ask you guys a question. And if those that want to come in, I got the link here. I want to get a roundtable discussion. We're just talking here.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that the people, and specifically we're going to focus on the women today, that are struggling, right, with marriage, it's because they know they do not want to change and they have a sucker, and they go to a place where, the church is supposed to be good people and honest and love and God and everything that is great. And so it's like a crook or a scammer going into a community that are, gullible to some degree. And okay, let me fester here. Or do you believe they're coming in and the result is still the same? They want to change, they just can't because that spirit's too strong, or it's too late for them, or it's one of these things that, you think they're using their excuse. Oh, when I was 3, my daddy wasn't there, or I didn't do this, or my mom wasn't there. You think those are legitimate reasons, or that's the only reason they've been taught to focus on? In the same way that, like, for instance, they have done studies now that there have been some links to mental illness, and that suggest that it could be chemicals, vaccinations, right? Side effects, your environment, what you're eating, right? But the entire industry, right, is focusing on what you did or what happened to you as a child. And there was 2 models that was prominent in when psychiatry became a thing. You got the Adler model and you got the Freud. Freud, he kind of made that whole thing famous of like childhood trauma. As a matter of fact, they have done studies or conversation about that even comic books have contributed to this concept of, what happened to you as a child, whether it be in high school or when you were young, affects you as adults. So you got the villain and the hero, right? Batman, he had a tragedy, right? His two parents got killed in front of him. He became a superhero, right? But you have a villain, something similar happened to him, and he becomes Dr. Freeze, a villain, right? It all depends how you deal with trauma, right? And that happens too in real life. So it wasn't that Freud was not 100% or wrong. Adler, his attitude was that it is wrong, that the number one reason for depression is lack of purpose. Your past can affect your future, or trauma can affect you. But if you do not have purpose in your life, then the past is going to be haunting you because you have nothing to distract you, because you got no purpose. So then when you have no purpose, you start reflecting on your past. The past become vivid in your imagination and your mind. You relive those trauma, and you get into a cycle of this is the reasons why I'm in this condition. That's not true, but you start beginning to believe that. This is according to Adler. And I'm going to be doing a show in the future about this because I think it's important. And his attitude was that you have to give people purpose. That purpose is the biggest reasoning for depression and even sickness. And he was going into that. He got kind of pushed out the way. And Freud, who, by the way, was a boy lover, openly, right? And I believe, I don't know if he was homosexual or not, but I know he was talking about that, the age of consent should be lower. And he was, he was saying that, kids that go through that, they enjoy it. He had a sick perspective on that. But Freud, he is like respected as the number one, the godfather, if you will, of psychiatry to some degree, right? So do you guys think that women are, and men too, because recently I had to end a friendship, because there was a friend of mine that I believe he tried and he was trying to do right, but the alcohol overcame, and to the point that in me trying to help him, I became a person that I didn't like because he brought the worst out of me, right? Calling me all kinds of crazy hours of the night, cursing me out, all kinds, right? And then the next morning, he calls me, I'm sorry, bro, my bad, right? It's, and then you forgive him, right? Because and I told him that I have forgiven him. You know what Christ said when Peter asked Christ how often you should forgive your brother? 7 times 7. I calculated that. I'm like 7 times 7 plus 5 more. It's like, I did my 7 times 7, right? Or 70 times 7, right? So do you think there's a little bit of both? Some women want to change, but they just can't. Or some women are like, nah, I'm not going to change. I'm decided I like the women, but it's like the spirit needs to survive somewhere. It's like a virus needs to live somewhere. What do you think is most likely the issue within why specifically the divorce rate is high? And I want to focus on the men and later on, but I want to now focus on the women in regards of what is the issue, right? We already know why the issue women in the world, because I say it. Things are changing, bro. I'm not, I want a job. I want to make my own money. I'm not going to be serving you. You got to help me with the house. They are transparent about the reasons why they are not their mothers and grandmothers anymore, right? And when men are like, all right, we out of here, right? Men are going, overseas. Men are not getting married. Divorce rate is declining, right? So we know why our women in the world are divorcing. But why are women in the Christian church are also divorced?
That's
If
what the
it
word of
is, if
God
it's
say.
members, what say you?
The Ten Commandments said, "Thou shalt not covet." Every time you check on the internet, it's always got to do with covet. It said, "Thou shalt not covet another man's wife. Thou
Right,
shalt not covet his house, the things that he has." All on the internet, all you see is you got these fake models, IG model, whatever that is, talking about, "Look what I live." It ain't nothing but a bunch of scam artists talking about a fake life they don't live. And other women be like, "Well, I've been good to my man. I
so
deserve this. I
right,
should be getting like that."
but do you think the Christian women or the women that go to church are
They ain't no
suffering from the
different.
same thing? Do you think they suffering from the same issue, or you think it is? Because my opinion, I think that is different. I think women, I think women in the Christian church in the body of Christ do get tempted by the world. They are the weaker vessel. But what I have seen is that the problem is, of course, obedience, submission under the husband. That's been the number one reason, from my experience in regard to marriage problems. Communication. Trauma usually comes up a lot. But do you think they're faking it just to like survive in this gullible, or
Mhm.
you think they actually
Yeah.
are? They really want to change, but they can't because that spirit is
It's
too
it's
strong. What
it's
say
it's
you?
both. It's both, and like you, it's both, and like you said, Elder. To the point you were talking about purpose. For the most part, the Christian community, they don't reinforce women's original role back from Genesis. That women are supposed to. They have to constantly be reminded of their role from Genesis. That they were created to assist man and have a dominion over the earth. And when they don't focus on that and they're giving other missions, that's when things start to get chaotic. But for the most part, whether a man is in the world or in the Christian community, for the most part, most men have that written code from Genesis to
Right.
dominate the earth. But what I have found out, either in the world or in the Christian church, women don't have that sense of that written code, what their purpose was for being created. And if that's not constantly reinforced, they'll give themselves or society, or, and I'll use Satan to give them a completely different purpose outside of what they were created for. And in the modern day society, when women are out of the homes, and I see it, I'm in the corporate world for the most part, they are stressed. They can't handle it. They be at their desk, hands in their head, they getting up, they just look like they on autopilot because the world is putting a load on them that they were not meant to carry. And society has deceived them into believing, climb the corporate ladder, become a boss, become the CEO, and they're not built for it. They are
Yeah.
not built for the stress. They're not built for the problems. They're not built for the challenges. Not saying that they cannot do the task, they're not built for the stress and the environment of the world.
Right.
Men, we're built for it. How the Most High created us. We're built for it. And thus as men, what
Right.
we typically have to do is find ways to offload our stress in productive ways, like you were talking about your friend who uses the bottle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those kind of things we can't do, but we are naturally built to handle the rough world. Women aren't. So when
Right.
they are not constantly thinking about, my role is to assist this man, my role is to reinforce what the husband's mission is into the children, fearing God, keeping the commandments, they begin to get
Yeah.
into a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah. 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 Because from my experience, what I have noticed is that many couples that have counsel, in the 12 years I was an elder in GOCC, I also noticed that that people are trying to do good, even the women to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
but it's like they past life when they were sinners, when they were not thinking about God, those they're still dealing with those problems. And usually those problems are mixed marriages in the regards that she's bringing in kids in the relationship, he's bringing in kids in the relationship. Those people that they had kids with, they are still in the world, right? And they so drama comes with that, right? So now they're trying to build a Christian family, an Israelite family, and now they're still dealing with those bad, those habits that or the past is coming to haunt them. Um, and I also see sometimes, to some degree that there is a power struggle within the household.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's and it's an adjustment, because it's like, you know, even women that were in the church, a lot of them were, not a lot, but some of them often the issue was that the husband was working. But the wife was overwhelmed. And especially if there's a mixed family, right? Some
Mm-hmm.
kids are hers biologically, some kids are not. Some kids are both of theirs, right? But then there's ones that is his, and then they don't get along, right? And then you put a woman in the middle of that, right? A man comes in from work, he's tired because this is second shift, right? He just wants to eat, take a shower, go to bed, right? Or just want, So I think a lot of and they take it out on each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the number one thing that I see men struggle with in the Christian church is alcohol and either cigarettes or weed, right? And it's usually the
Yeah.
coping mechanism. It's like, let me just relax. I just need to just right, because you just want to. And so, but the woman, she's been stressed out, dealing with a lot of things in the home, especially when there's kids involved. Homeschooling sometimes it's a thing. So the mother's is doing that. I think part of the issue too is monogamy as well, or at least not having a community that you have the mom, the grandma, the auntie, right? You have, most Israelite women used to come with a midwife to help them. That was always, like, culturally speaking, a thing within the Hebrew culture that has not been developed within the American culture, within the body of
Mm-hmm.
Christ. We don't, and so forth, so on. And it's a lot of that. It's a lot of that, and so forth, so on. You know, America, it is a stressful environment for the men and the women,
Mm-hmm.
right? Crime. You have to find, you have to be careful who your kids hanging out with, who they're talking to online, and so for someone, it's just a stressful situation. But I think because it's a stressful situation and women come in, and I'm going to deal with the men in a few minutes, but I'll focus on the women now. Women come into the church, I think, from my experience, expecting that the system called the Christian church is going to fix everything.
Mm-hmm.
I came here to be healed. And then when they get there, they realize, oh, I got to put in the work? Is my responsibility to change me? I thought I'm going to, elder, lay your hands on me. Just cure me. Right? Just,
Mm-mm. No, you got to do the work. I
it,
mean, look at the
yeah,
Most High when he's talking to Israel. The Most High put it on Israel, fix it.
yeah,
We got to dig ourselves out of this hole that we got ourselves into.
yeah,
Not only just Israel, but man and woman, mankind as a whole. We got to dig ourselves out of this hole that we got ourselves into it. And it's not magic at all. It's not a presto one lesson. I'm gonna listen to this series and then no, not at all. It's every day
yeah,
waking up, addressing personal, individual accountability and responsibility, and then collectively as a family
yeah,
to get us from where we are now all the way to the kingdom. We got to work for this one. It's
Yeah.
no handouts.
Yeah, we got to work for this one because I was
I got to
looking
work
at.
for every inch and every mile. It's no handouts.
Yeah, I was looking. I
And
want to play this video in a few minutes, but before we play this video, I asked AI: is there a divorce statistics within the Black Hebrew, the Black Israelite community in America? Right, and it says there isn't specifically a public available statistics data on divorce rate within the Black Hebrew Israelite community in America. So there's nothing there. This is because the community is like religious groups and culture groups. So it's not in the radar. And
Right.
to be honest, I don't think we have become big enough, important enough, politically, we're not important enough for it to even be done. So we may have to do our own one, right? We may have to do our own one. Maybe going God's way. That was probably one of the purposes that we maybe start asking these questions specifically. I know that it all depends on the statistics. I know you have to kind of ask. You got to like go to different parts of America, ask Israelite people that are no longer in the relationship they started with and why it didn't work out. And then we have to write those things down and we have to kind of figure out what is the consistent reasons why, versus this is 40%, this is 60%, this is 20%. Okay, what's the highest and so forth, so on, right? So, because I think data is important. I think asking these questions honestly is important. But I'm to the point, and maybe because of my age or where I'm at in my life, that and so I'm speaking from the outside in, right? I am married, right? I'm not looking for a wife in America. I'm in that situation. So, so I would not know if I was wake up single, how to handle it, because it's not like, yeah, go overseas, but it's not you can just get in a plane tomorrow, right? You get and figure it out because you still got to work tomorrow, right? You still have responsibilities here, so it's a transition. But from you guys, what has been your experience in regards of what was the last date you guys been in, and or a friend of yours, a cousin, a brother, a colleague, and what is the example that you see? What is the I would say the norm that you see out there? You don't have to go into business details, but do you guys remember how that worked out when or you guys are not there yet? Uh, because you're most focused on yourself. How is the dating pool back? Now in 2025.
2025, I couldn't really tell you because I ain't really care. Because from my past and also paying attention to, friends, family, and other people, I think one of the biggest things that's kicking is terminology. We gotta be careful with our words. Words have power, And one thing I remember hearing was a lot of females say, "Oh, they're looking for a partner." Well, the Most High God is the one who ordained marriage. We can't change that. So when the Most High God said, "Let everything be done in decency and in order," and then you want to change order to being, "Well, I'm equal to the man," which that's what the issue with Adam and Eve in the garden and that malignant root. You're not equal to the man. So then when you feel like you're equal to him, but then you have the audacity not to really put in the work that it takes to be in a man's shoes, then a man gonna be like, "Well, what is you running your mouth for? Like you a partner of mine when you don't know nothing about what it takes to be in these shoes."
Mm-hmm.
And so that creates this tension, and then it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Because on one hand, you say you want to be married, but marriage is ordained by God, and He has things in a certain order, but you want to buck against the order, and then when things don't work out, oh, it's the man's fault. It gets tiring.
Yeah.
Men die at a younger age because we gotta bear all the pressure. Because pressure was built for shoulders, not hips.
Yeah.
And we dealing with issues of people not learning to tame their mouths, because you will eat your words if you don't learn to tame it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this is where we at.
So let's focus on the men now, right? And you guys are, I think, a good example, because I think you guys were in relationship. You guys are, brother. You are no longer in a relationship, but I think you no longer are, right? Correct?
No, no longer are. No
Uh,
longer
uh,
am.
but I think you in the process of separating, correct? Or that's been
Yes,
already
sir.
done. Okay,
Yeah,
so
in that
okay,
process. Mhm.
and not to get too personal and so forth, so on, but if you guys could reflect now, what do you guys think you guys did wrong in your relationship? I'm not putting you guys in the spot, right? Or what you could have done better, or what did you learn? What did you learn from it, right? Going forward, what did you learn
I could
from it?
say, for me, I didn't, because I was, well, bump on what I didn't wasn't taught. That don't even matter, because once you grown, you grown. I didn't listen to a lot of things when things was going on. Certain signs, certain things that were said, and I was like, you know what? I could work through this. It ain't that bad. You know what I'm saying? I know what I dealt with before. This ain't that bad. So I start coping with stuff instead of taking a stance on certain stuff.
Okay.
So then at times I allowed her to play this yo-yo game. Well, I had to keep focused, but yet I'm still allowing, the other person to do what they wanted to do in a way, as far as mental and emotional gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
And because and my fault was, like I said, I didn't take a certain stance that'll be like, well, listen, this is where I'm at. Either you're gonna follow it or you ain't. If you ain't, let me know. So we're going our separate ways right now. And let's cut the bull jive out.
Okay.
And
So
and that's what I take accountability at.
so they so you saw signs that you didn't like. You rationalized it to say, you know what, it's not so bad. If you where your mindset was, it's not so bad because it's a new flesh, it's a new person, right? The sparks, the beginning sparks, right? Or um that you took on the role of, oh, okay, I see some issues with this woman, but I'm going to help her. She needs help. And the reason why I'm saying that, because I also see a lot that men get into relationship with women that are asking for help, gone through trauma, and we want to become the hero, right? The man to scoop her up and said, I know you've been this, I know you've done that, I know you feisty, but it's because this happened to you. Going back to the whole thing about Freud and Adler and your past and us created this thing of like, I'm going to help her or I could change her, or your mind was more like, this is not that bad because she has a nice button up smile. What and I'm being facetious here, but was you like, I could deal with it because she's someone new? You get what I'm saying? And so then the beginning infatuation and beauty and the fact that, okay, I got someone new clouded your judgment, or your mind was more like, I think I could change her or help her make her better. What was your mindset when you saw those shortcomings?
It was more so I believe that I could help her. And I also believed in, well, if I show what I'm doing better, then she'll grow too. But that's not always usually the case, because usually, like, when you keep moving the goalposts to be better, you get pushed more to do more, while this person just sits still and stagnant and does the bare minimum. And then when you don't meet a certain mark, then all the stuff that you bust your behind to do get cut short. And then it's like, well, dang, like, it's like that. So
Okay.
yeah.
So, Brother Ron, what's been your experience? What you have learned past relationship, what you could have done different, better, what you're gonna not do going forward in your new relationship, or do going forward in your new relationship. What you got from your failures, so to speak, right? Because if you guys not together, it failed, right? It
Yeah.
didn't work
Hmm.
out. It's a failure.
Right.
It's a failed relationship,
Right.
whatever.
Hmm.
And I'm not want to focus on blaming. I just want to
Hmm.
focus what you took from it, and that what you're gonna going forward, what you're gonna do different.
I think that if I could go back and do it all over again, and my advice to younger brothers who aren't married yet is number one, spend a lot of time focused on you and your relationship with the Most High. Build that relationship first. Spend a lot of time, as much time as you can, cultivating that relationship first. Because once you enter into marriage, while your wife and your children are leaning on you, you're gonna have to lean on the Most High. And if you haven't cultivated that relationship to trust and counsel with the Most High and be led by the Holy Spirit, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. So that's one of the biggest things that I say that I did was I didn't take enough time cultivating a relationship with myself and the Most High first before I got married. Um, Number two would be knowing the difference between being a husband in the society or the world standard and what the Most High expects of you, because it's beyond just being a provider and protector. You got to be the priest of your house. Like you were talking about, a lot of relationships get messed up with being in the church. You have to be the strongest voice of your house.
Mm-hmm.
You're the priest, you're the king of their house. So if you say, "Hey, this is how my family is going to go as far as a priestly role," it stands in that house. No other male voice should be able to come in your home. Pastor, bishop, prophet should be able to come in and influence not only your wife but your children at all, because you're held accountable at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
those kind of things brothers need to know about before they get married. Just knowing all of the roles that the Most High requires the man to fulfill. And last but not least, I would probably have to say how to deal with the pressure of it all, because I
Mm.
just I just think that, and I'll speak for me and brother Ricky's generation. I just feel like we have a lot of pressure on us to kind of like take the reins and turn everything around and keep the train going forward. And we are so more far removed from like your generation that had a little bit more sense, was a little bit more cool, was a little bit more moral than
Yeah.
our generation, where now morality is a thing of the past. Like our
Yeah.
women today, like I was telling brother Ricky, you go online, almost every woman is taking pictures with their butt sticking out, breast showing, whether they, they just social media accessible.
Yeah.
That's more harder in this time than it was 20 or 30 years ago. And now there's more so you're competing with more worldly influences
Yeah.
of today. You're competing with the age of the internet where your wife or your children can jump online and listen to anybody. Everybody
Yeah.
got a microphone, everybody got an opinion and
Yeah.
everything like that. In the age of the internet versus in the old school days, the man was the voice. The man was the voice. Yes, she had her girlfriends to talk to, but the man was the voice. She might counsel with her dad if he was a factor, but
Yeah.
men of today's world are competing with other voices in the home. So a lot of the pressures that we have in today, I would say, at least my mistake, I didn't originally know how to deal with. And I'll be honest to say, I abused alcohol until I was able to overcome and say, no more, no more leaning on alcohol or bad influences to deal with the pressures of not only the world, but being a husband, being a father, and things like that. So those are probably the top three things that I would advise and at least say that I could do differently coming this time around. But to answer your last, what would I do different? Going forward, I would definitely spend more time cultivating my relationship with the Most High and focusing on why did the Most High create me and bring me into the earth. Focus on that, build that, cultivate that, and then when the Most High chooses to bring a woman to help me with that purpose, I'll be ready for it, and I'll know that that's what He wants for me, if
Yeah,
that's the case.
because it's one of these things that um I have seen a lot. There's a lot that when you go to church, you have your church persona to some degree. Everybody has their church persona.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has their business persona, right? When they go to work,
Mm-hmm.
you have the persona you have with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
When you're around your family,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then you have the persona that you will have with your wife. And what I realized in the past that sometimes people, and it's okay, we cannot avoid it, but we have to just acknowledge that it's going to happen, is that when you see a sister sees a brother in the church, or a brother sees a sister in the church, and her persona or his persona is righteous. They're either, in the choir, they're part of committees, they're into a lot of things in the church, they're doing the work, they're feeding the homeless, they're street preaching, evangelizing, right? They're doing all the work. That's a good brother. That's a good sister. And then when they get married and they court and do whatever, the person who's at home, it's not the person that they used to, the persona at church.
Mm-hmm.
And women get disappointed, but from my experience, men get disappointed more. Almost like their heart is broken because it's like, I thought I had a righteous sister. I thought you was the one. But you having issues like everybody else? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You broke. Like it's I have seen men and you know, and that's why I asked Brother Rick, he's like, was it you was blinded by her beauty in the beginning, infatuation? We all go through that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or was it like you saw it, you acknowledge it, but I think I could help her, right? Because many guys that I have talked to that they calling me, a month later, 6 months later, a few weeks later, Elder, I need to talk to you about something. All right, what is it, brother? Yeah, I'm just having issues with my marriage, Elder. I don't know what's going on. And I was like, okay, what is it? Yeah, there's that and the other, some signs. We're not getting along, this and that. It's like, well, and one question I used to always ask them: did you seen the signs when you was courting? And every single time, without fail, 100% of the time is, yeah, I saw a little bit. Yeah, I saw a little, but not like this, Elder, right? And usually it's two things. It's usually is she says she's gonna change. We talked about it. We fasted, right? We go into this spiritual ritual thing. Then many of the people that go to church, they believe it. Like, we fasted together. The God is going to help us.
Mm-hmm.
We fasted. We prayed. In our head. We did somersault. We did everything, right? We walked on water. Right? And then it still is a problem, right? It's still, Elder, I think I did a mistake. And that happens a lot. And, I think women get cold feet, but I think men get cold feet more than women, I think. Because I think monogamy is a little harder for men than there is for women. So it's like the being claustrophobic of you get what I'm saying, like, and especially when you are mirroring you meeting your spouse in church, because now you're attached to the church, which you get what I'm saying. It's like
Mm-hmm.
death do you apart. So there is some level of like cold feet that happen with young men that I've seen with women too, but I see more with with men because of this whole like commitment. So therefore, if this is forever, you're gonna notice every imperfection once it's settled, right? So I see that a lot, and it's hard for men. It's just hard because it's like, you guys are young, you're in the prime of your life, your testosterone is through your body, your hormones. You want a woman, but because you're a Christian, you just cannot go to a club or a bar and just call someone, right? It's easier for men in the world. So my heart goes out to you guys because it's easier for people that don't have these rules, right? Sex before marriage is not right. I know certain Hebrew Israelite believe sex is marriage, but you still have, the Bible, you still have to go to the Father. And sex is not marriage, right? The wedding and the diary and the whole thing is the marriage that God has ordained, right? But yes, sex is like the definition of like once you lay with her, she becomes officially your wife because you consummated, right? I get that. However, though, that's what I see within the Christian church, because if and this is why I wish that we should, and maybe this should be a calling that we do, that maybe we do our own statistics, because then we can start figuring out how to fix it, what to look out for. Because we really see what's out there in the world. Women are already telling men out in the world, we're going to be equal. You're not going to be my Lord. We're going to work out what is right. Whoever's right is the one who we're going to go with. Whatever you're good at, you do. Whatever I'm good at, I do. We both have to share the responsibility of the household. And you're going to talk to me because I'm I'm a PhD, right? They are open and transparent why men have to shape up or shape out, or men got to change because times are changing, right? But in the Christian church, I don't think Christians are being honest. I don't think we're really being honest. I don't think the women are being honest. I don't think the men are being honest. Right? So
you got that many men going to the Christian church, though.
That is true too. Men are just tapping out. Right?
Yeah, men are tapping out big time.
Yeah. And within religious organization, men can have like a spiritual excuse. I'm focused on me, brother. I'm on my Enoch. And that's good. I'm not saying it's not good, because part of men going God's way is we believe in polygamy, that it's okay, but you don't have to partake in that. We encourage, if you don't have the ability to find a good woman at that time, focus on yourself. Get on your Enoch.
Yeah, a lot of men are going that way, Elder. Yeah. I'm picking up on that, and that's something that young brothers, myself, Brother Ricky, and younger, going to have to come to the realization. You may have to go without dealing with the woman and be okay with that, and be disciplined enough to be like, it's all right. It's okay. I'm going to be fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to die. I'm not going to die.
It's a shame that when men are single, or men cannot find a woman, or they decide to tap out in relationship, what gets me upset is that, dude, you're not using that time to grow. You're not taking, okay, you can't find a woman. Women ain't no good, whatever. Okay, but you're not gonna learn a new skill. The time that I have, like my wife and I, right? We notice it's like, our daughter's not here. Like, she's married. She's she's out and about. She's with her husband. So like those concerns. Hey, where's our daughter? Where she's coming from work? Where she's going from school? Who's picking her up? Right? Those things are no longer. It's a gap, right? And so forth, so on, right? My wife and I, we still deal with each other, but we got a lot of time on our hand. Just noticing that, like, the child is out the house, right? So imagine if not only you don't have a child, you don't have a wife, you by yourself, and you wasting the time playing video games, my brother.
No.
You know what I'm saying? If you've been single for 5 years, at the end of 5 years, you should be a black belt in jiu-jitsu. You learn 2 skills. You know how to build a car by you know what I'm saying? You should be focused on, like, you
Yeah. You got
because
a couple businesses going,
you
and yeah.
understand. You should be like, yo, I'm bet you, in the gym, I'm about to build a new house, or I'm, get to learn the skills, or I read 500 books. You get what I'm saying? Because you got so much time in your hand,
Yeah.
right? Because if you're not gonna find a woman, you're gonna tap out. No, I'm not gonna find a woman, right?
Mhm.
What are you spending your time on,
Yeah,
right?
definitely don't be
I know,
idle.
I know,
Don't be idle.
Yeah, yeah,
I know a lot of brothers though, men in general, they're spending more time working. Instead of working 8-hour days, they're working 10, 12, some 14, some even 16-hour day shifts, you know, because, after a relationship, a lot of times a man end up having to, give up a lot, and then he has things to make up on, and then he
yeah,
has his own debt. And so now he's trying to get to a place where he can be at peace because he know that at some point in his life, he don't want to work that hard. So at a point, he got to do what he got to do so he could go do what he want to do, and
right,
that
Mhm.
takes time. So in a
yeah,
lot of men, they do have a skill, but they got to build within the company, to get to a certain level to make more money. Then they may gotta go get a certification to reach a high level, and stuff like that. So it takes time, and then
yeah,
and especially in a time period where you know we just now getting back to merit based because it was a time period when the Biden administration they was giving out position to people that didn't deserve it. This that what it was the DIE
Mhm.
diversion inclusion thing.
hmm
Like so my experience of meeting other brothers and men, they are out here working a lot of hours trying to get to a place where they can be at peace, and then they can go, well, now I got the time and the money, now I could go learn another language, now I could take up MMA or Krav Maga or some type of fighting skill, so because a lot of
Mhm.
times when a man has a family, he can't do that because he got to
yeah,
make sure he got to take care of the family. Is a kid gets sick, there's always something popping up at the school,
yeah,
field trips, the shoes done got too small, oh the
yeah,
baby need pampers, and
hmm
well I'm trying to get my hair done, and oh the car done broke down,
Mhm.
the plumbing in the house done went out, we got a leak in the roof that's gonna cost 40,000 to fit. It's a lot when
right,
trying to be a family man.
hmm
Mhm.
From me hearing from other brothers.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So absolutely, if you single, man, if you tapped out from a relationship for whatever reason, whether you men going your own way, MGTOW, or men going God's way, if you and whatever, if by the end of that, you now figure out how to walk on water, figure out a trade, start an LLC, get
Mhm.
your CDL, get your gun license, learn how to hunt. You haven't learned a skill. You understand? I think it's shame on you. I think men, because I believe if you become a better man, you will attract better people. If you
Mhm.
travel, if you engage and build and grow, you will attract better people.
Mhm.
Um, because sometimes tapping out and going back to the Adler model is that you got to find yourself a purpose. And that's been the biggest, you know, I don't get excited about many things. There's certain things that I have interest, I like the Bible. Outside, I believe in God, but I generally like biblical exegesis. Like I like to study the Bible, figure out what it says,
Mhm.
read extra biblical stuff, uh, history, early church, Hebrew Israelite history. Those things are fascinating. I have a love for it.
Mhm.
You know, uh, and of course MMA. I like that. Just trying to get my black belt. It's getting harder every. I'm 53, so wrestling with these young guys is like it's not joyful anymore. I gotta, it's one of those things. It's hard.
Mhm.
Um, of course, my wife. Other than that, there's nothing else. I don't have an addiction. I don't have like something that I like to do every day. I gotta do it. Um, so I wonder if I didn't like the Bible like that, didn't believe in God. If I was one of these guys that don't like MMA or mixed martial arts or working out, I'm not that type. That's not. Like, what would be my purpose? That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
What would be,
Yeah.
you know, because right now I'm trying to start this man going God's way thing. I'm trying to, you know, so I have purpose. And then I do believe that every man needs a purpose, because when you don't have a purpose, that's when the pressure comes in.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you could get side swapped by a toxic woman, right? You know, I think God gave me this woman because she just came to me out the blue, you know, and it must, you know what I'm saying? You could just, because you don't have nothing else going for you, right? So I think, and to shift going into focusing, you know, the issue with the men, I think many of the you know, going back to you were saying, Brother Duran, in regards to that, you have to first focus on yourself, because sometimes a man picks the wrong woman because he does not know what he wants in a woman. He just landed this woman because this woman liked him, and he liked, you get what I'm saying? It's like, because most guys cannot just pick up a phone and just get a girl, right? Unless you pay for her, right? And that's out for Christians, right? So most men date women that they have access to. I like the women that like me, right? You know, I like a lot of women, but not all women like me. So I got a lot. I'm subject to the women who first like me, right? And so forth, so on, right? And so sometimes men, and I noticed a lot with young men, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, they get into a relationship and then they with the wrong woman, but they figured out in their 30s, but they already have 3 kids. So I don't think men should be, and it's hard because it's like you're in your 20s, you are in your strongest or your most, you know, in your peak of your sexual desire. And I'm not saying it's impossible. I mean, you have to just acknowledge it. When you're in your 20s, my beloved brothers, you're going to be, and we're adults here, you're going to be horny a lot. You have to refrain from a lot, right? It gets easier the older you get, right? But in those 20s, woo, just be ready for that. Because if you don't talk to young men about these things, they're going to figure out how to release it, right? Because they're going to think, I'm horny. I'm easy to release. You know, this girl likes me, you know, right? You have to kind of warn them and say, hey, you don't let that create a narrative that you're making mistakes, right? Because you know how many young men I have counsel and talked to that they're having unprotected sex with multiple women. And I'm like, dude, you know, do you want kids? Nah, not right now. Why are you running around having sex, right? And it's a little less in the Christian church or in the Hebrew Israelite community, but it still goes on to some degree. But just because you believe in God doesn't mean you get less horny. Let's keep it real. You get less aroused, right? When you're in your 20s, right? And not to say that you could have men that are matured, and that's why maturity is important, because the quicker you get to maturity, the quicker you can start life. Immaturity really hinders you, or the concept of immaturity, because the concept of teenager or being a teenager really started around the 50s. And the rumor is that they wanted to kind of create the teen pop idol, Elvis Presley, you know, the Beatles, and they kind of, and then it was simultaneously with, you know, labor laws that I think in the 40s they began to implement, because back in the day, you could be 15, you was working in a warehouse, you know, big machines, you know, your fingers go, you know what I mean? So sometimes they realize, okay, because of it's one thing your 15-year-old son or daughter working in the farm with you, with dad. It's another thing working in the factory, right? So they start bringing these labor laws to protect younger people, right? But then eventually society began to push responsibility later on, right? Oh, he's only 15. Right. Mary was like 15 or 14 when she gave birth to Christ. Most Hebrew men were married by the age of 20. If you're like 25 and you're a Hebrew man, like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
If you don't have kids at a certain age in certain Hebrew culture, that considered to be like a curse. Like, which of the prophets or the great men didn't have children? What's wrong? Like culturally, right? So men had to mature much quicker. Right? By 2022, you already had 2-3 kids. Right? So you didn't have this whole concept of what is it? Cancun's or weekend. I mean, summer. What would you call these? Summer fest or these.
Yeah.
Fast. I don't want to use those words, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a new concept.
Yeah.
Right. I don't remember any time in history like did the Egyptians used to have like, yo, don't get married until you're 30. Have fun, go to the clubs in Egypt. Like, is there like you get what I'm saying? So we thinking that the issues that we're having today, it always existed, culturally speaking. But back in the days, by 1920, you're married.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And maybe by your 30, working on your second wife. So it wasn't this like hold off until you can, right? Have fun and then get married. That's a new Babylonian culture that is destroying our people. What's it?
I think that's part of the problem. Like we're also waiting too late to get married because, like you said, during that time we having fun and we becoming essentially damaged goods. So by the time you meet someone, late 20s, early 30s, you got all these experience and trauma. She got all these experience and trauma, and you're trying to come together, and then all of this stuff is clashing. And I'll use my brother for example. My brother, he got married right out of high school, 2004, 2005. He's still with his wife 20 years. And I've seen them, and I'm 2 years younger than I've seen them grow together. And his oldest, he just graduated from high school. The next, he's getting ready to graduate in another. I've literally seen them grow together over 20 years. And of course, no marriage is perfect, but from outside looking in, they have a great relationship. And we talk sometimes and stuff like that. And he's like, Deron, we're not perfect, but they've grown together to your point. So I can see how if you get married, for the younger brothers, get married a lot younger, you can miss all of this stuff out here. And I warn my brother all the time. I said, dude, I don't care what you complain about your wife. She's not like the women that I be running into out here.
Right.
She knows her purpose. She's a family-oriented woman. They do everything together. They could be going to 7-Eleven. The whole family's in the car together. It's none of that. They're family oriented. They're tight knit.
Yeah. And shout out to your sister-in-law. Shout out to your brother because that's a success story. And we got to talk about those things too. We have to celebrate the goodness and when it's not all doom and gloom. However, though, it's just not enough of the good.
Yeah,
it's like about 3 years back. Go ahead, Brother Ricky, you were about to say?
You was talking there. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, okay. No, but I want to play this video, right? And this is a video I did years ago, last year. This is episode 49. It says, "Don't marry a woman in America, but if you do, these are the 7 stipulations." Right. So let's play a little video. This is Rampage Jackson. He's an MMA fighter. He's retired now, but he's on this podcast and he's talking about his marriage and how his own mother jeopardized it. The first one. Fair use. Mothers now are this getting all bent out of shape when they see a woman feeding and taking care of their own son. Back in the days, I remember when let me speed it up a little bit. Fair use. There we go.
Tell my mom. I said, Mom, this is why I went to Japan to get me a wife.
Don't ruin it.
Yeah, don't ruin it. I said, that's why I ain't married no black woman. I told my mom got so mad when I said that, but I'm just keeping it real. Like,
and sisters, this is not to make fun of you. This is not a ha-ha moment. I want you to realize how far you gone. That now this is an epidemic thing. And mark my words, this is gonna get worse for you. So this is not gonna get better. This is not a fade. This is not a fad. It is. So when you see that this particular video, Rampage, he was like, his own mother was telling his daughter-in-law, her daughter-in-law, who was his wife at the time, who was from Japan, why are you feeding my son so much? Why are you doing it? Why are you always obeying him and honor him and this and that? Be independent. That eventually became a thing that it affected his relationship, right? Let me play fair use. Let me play continue. Let me have Rampage continue saying what he was saying. Fair use. A lot of you sisters sometimes grew up in the hood. And let me try to get it. Hold up. Perhaps coaches.
And she just jogged to the kitchen.
Right.
I don't know why she did that.
Yeah.
Let me back up a little bit.
Glass of water like that, but they hurry up and get you shit. When you ask her really nice, hey babe, can you get me a glass of water? And she just jogged to the kitchen.
Right.
I don't know why she did that.
Yeah.
And my mom was mad. And then from that second on, my mom was in her head. And by the time my mom left,
his own mother was in her head.
Ex-wife was already acting like a black girl doing all this. I was like,
all right, but so I gotta hit you.
and he made a joke. So they're joking around about it, but this is exactly the issue. And I wanted to see if I could find what I did with it. That I know I took a picture of it. What I did with it. Hold on 2 seconds. Let me see if I could get, because I got a picture on the seven principles. But what I did with it, hold on. I think I put it in. Bear with me. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Okay, where are you? I know I did. I marked it. I could have swore I put it up, but maybe if it's not here. Okay, I thought I did. I mean, okay. I hate when you think you do something and you can't find it, and then right after the show, I'll be able to find it. But
that's how it always works.
That's how it always. But let me see if I could just maybe perhaps find it on the show, because I did the survey. I put it up on the show. So let me see if I can find it while we are talking. And Brother Ricky, were you on the show with me? I don't remember if you remember this particular. Let me see if I could. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I have all the points here, but okay. All right, so here's right here. Let me put it up for you guys. I don't know if I think Brother Ricky, you was not here with me at this time, right? So, but you guys cannot see it. But let me just put it up. Number one was she must believe in God and Christ. So the title of the show was "Don't Marry a Woman in America," but if you do, these are the 7 stipulations, right? She must believe in God, believe and submit and accept submission under her husband in all things. Believe in polygamy, and the reason why, or be okay with polygamy, or believe and accept polygamy. And the reason why I put this is because we live in a time right now that even if the woman, my advice to men, even if you're not looking into a polygamous relationship with a woman, talk about it and see how she responds to it, because that will show you a good indicator how submissive she's going to be. This is my theory, right? Because there's no way to measure where the woman is going to be submissive, because she could say a whole lot of, I'm going to honor you and obey you. There's a lot. I've seen a lot of women, wash feet of their husband in the wedding and do a big ceremonial, reading scripture, bowing down to, beautiful. And a week later, the husband's like, Elder, we got to talk, brother. I think I did we got to talk, right? I'm like, the wife, the one who was washing your feet in front of her family and says, she's going to honor you. Yeah, her. Okay, what's going on, right? So they could trick you.
Yeah, scam running the scam.
And let me just say this, right? Because women are the weaker sex physically, right? We all know that, right? So if you are physically weaker than men, you cannot force men to do things by force, historically, right? So women learned the art of persuasion because they had to. So they're better than us because it's like second nature. That makes sense? Like,
yeah,
my wife could have me right now get up and she yells a certain way, like she's scared, right? Baby, can you please, right? She has to ask me, and because my love for her, I would get up and hold on, brother, let me deal with this, right? It's a learned behavior to some degree, right? So I'm saying that to say this, that the best way to filter all that, talk about polygamy. Hey, listen, I believe a man could have, you don't have to say, I'm going to do it. I said, but I believe that man biblically, it's okay. I don't have a problem with it. Just say that and see how she responds. Well, I think that's, you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because there's the reason why I put this here, because I'm trying to talk men out of marrying women from America. And there's still good women out there in America. I'm not saying all of them, but the risk is so high. Your standard got to be up here. You get what I'm saying? So I believe this is because that's what I would ask if I was in a dating pool today. Further, if she really believes in God, that conversation, right? It would not be rare, right? Solomon had 1,000 wives. David, I think, had like 9 wives. You had, that conversation is not rare to biblical conversation if they really believe in God, right?
Elder, to back you up on that, I was listening to Captain Tazariak do one of his car chronicles one day, and a brother was called in, and he was trying to make a decision on what group he wanted to join, because he was basically Frankensteining his belief as far as following different churches, because he was following IUIC, ISUPK, GOCC, he was picking parts from each one. And so Captain Cesario told me, like, well, bro, I'm gonna tell y'all real, this ain't for you over here, because I'm gonna treat you the same way I choose a woman. He said, when a woman, far as when he choose a wife and he got multiple wives, he said, if a woman asking off real, well, what about your other wife? Well, he'd be like, well, off real, he tell a woman, hey, this ain't for you, because you worrying about her when you need to be worried about you and your purpose as a woman and what you need to be doing. And so that goes hand in hand, because if she's more worried about the other woman versus what she need to be doing, it ain't gonna work. So just questioning, and it ain't like you said, it ain't like you said that, hey, I'm going to have multiple wives. All you said was, you just asked the question, well, what do you think about multiple wives? And she just fly off the handle like that. That means she's possessive. Meaning, if she thinks if she is possessive, she think that she controls and owns you. Meaning, she picks her days when she wants to be a good woman or not. When a man, you got to get up and perform every day. You don't even got a choice.
Yeah.
So I'll just, back you up on what you had said.
Yeah, just test the waters. I would definitely test the waters, right? Because if they really believe in God, and that's the conversation, that's the door opening. You got to believe in God. You got to believe in Christ as your Lord and Savior to even have a conversation with me, right? And we're having this courting process between me and another woman, right? So I'm going to be having these conversations, right? And then, going back to, I was saying that most women are going to be like, yeah, I'm submissive.
Mm-hmm.
And right after, what about polygamy? What? Right? If you see the two horns coming out, right? She get all about his shape and you start accusing you. Well, you have another, you know what I'm saying? Now you know, okay, you have a jealous woman, and jealousy and disobedience are going hand in hand. And the reason why I'm saying this is that because many brothers have called me with sisters like, I didn't know it was this bad. I saw signs, and if don't ignore the signs, but sometimes certain people could trick you. Some people are good trickers. They could deceive you, right? So let me see. Number 4 says no children, but if she has offspring, all her children must come from the same man, and that man must have passed away. That's just my opinion. And I know it probably gets a little harder the older you get, right? And because it is a different if a woman has a child, 2 children, 3 children, but she was married for 25 years. She was married for 15 years, and the husband passed away. It's a different situation versus she's married with 3 kids. One was from a high school sweetheart, and the other 2 from her marriage, who they just fell apart. They just, I grew apart. I didn't know what I wanted back then. Now I know what I want now. I would say run from those women. Versus a woman like, yeah, we got married, we had children, he passed away. Or I will maybe negotiate, let's just say, and this happens sometimes. The man turned out to be gay and leaves, right? And because he was struggling with that. I would look at those women differently. Does that make sense? Because it wasn't like, we just grew apart, I didn't know what I wanted back then. I was so young. Those excuses, those are the first town sign that you should just simply run away, right? A virgin or no more than 3 past lovers, right? She's supposed to be a virgin. And I can understand, okay, you're 25 now, 23, you're 33, you did mistakes. And like I said, it gets a little harder the older you get, and I get that. Right. And maybe I should put another list for older men, right? Because I think if you're an older man, by the time, God forbid, I have to look for another wife, I'm probably going to get someone who's been married for a long time. If I have a woman who's like 45 years old and she's married 3 times, that's God telling me this is not the woman for you, right? So it gets harder the older you get. But I think, you're young. I think more than 5 lovers before a woman gets married, it's like the divorce rate goes up and it doesn't work out. So the more lovers in her ex-boyfriends, ex-this, and if she can't count how many, then it's a lot, and she's, you know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be like 1 or 2 guys and that's it, and then she met you, right? If it's more than 3, it's a problem, my personal opinion, right? Raised by her biological father. It just, it speaks for itself. Older statistics have come out that people that have been raised, men and women, they've been raised by their biological father, and their father has been in their home. The success rates quadruple. Versus there are done statistics that even single fathers do better. Or excuse me, single fathers do as well as couples with the father and the mother in the home. It's almost identical. So the most important component in the household is the father, right? The male, and so forth. So, and biological father, I just put that because, 9 times out of 10, the problem with marriages and stepfather is that the mother is picking that husband or that man because the man that wants her, the man that she wants, doesn't want her. So usually, let me get this sucker that will take raise my 3 kids. and he could have been there early.
Yep.
And then if you have a woman that is already looking for the relationship and the child that has not even know how to walk, I mean, I have seen situations of like men are like with newborns, and like, how long you guys been dating? Oh, for 3 months. Well, she just gave birth a month later, and you already started dating. Yeah, the father wasn't there. He was a bum. Of course, that's what she's gonna tell you. You get what I'm saying? So I would, and although a woman was raised by her stepfather, 9 times out of 10, that father is not respected by the mother because that's not the man that she wanted originally, right? So that woman gets raised by a woman that doesn't respect her husband, so then she learns those bad habits. That's why I would feel that it's always best. Now, there's always outliners, and there's always scenarios that people overcome these obstacles. I'm not saying they're not, but it's too late in the game for us to take these risks. It's no more, I see the signs, let me help her. Oh, she's a little toxic. Oh, those days are over. If a man calls me again after they have seen these shows, a year later, 3 years later, 5 years later, they go, Gabar, I should listen to you. I no longer want to waste my time with brothers like that.
Right.
If you know better, do better. Those are the men that I want around me.
Yeah.
Right? And last but not least has taken no COVID vaccination. Now, of course, there are now probably ways you could get detoxed, right? But that was back then. I did this show when in the middle of COVID and things of that nature. And I think there was a bonus one. If I don't
Yeah, but even if you
remember.
get
like
detox, the
you
damage
say,
has
Elder.
probably been done.
Oh, yeah, the
Say again?
damage is done. No, I was
I
just
was
saying,
saying
Elder,
that.
that. Oh, I'm sorry, Brother Ricky. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying that even if you do get a detox, the damage probably already been done.
Right,
Because the
right.
stuff that's in that done got inside you.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's me, but there is a different spirit for people who took the vaccine versus the people who didn't. There's a different. You can't put the words on. I don't know what it is. It's just a
Aura.
different aura about that. It's a different. It's just. I have never seen. I'm not saying people that took the vaccine are weak, but I have not seen a weak man that rejected the vaccine. I have not seen that. That makes sense?
I understand. Yeah.
I have seen strong men take the vaccine because but I have not, and I've seen a lot of weak men take the vaccine, right? But I have not seen a weak man take the vaccine. I mean, not reject the vaccine. All the men that have rejected is about their business. They're stubborn, they're set in their ways, and they ain't taking that crap. That is all the same, right? There is a personality type,
Yeah.
that you see, so for someone, right? So I don't know. I don't know if there's something there, but I just felt this was a conversation that we need to have today, and I know we're going to be having more conversation. I know we're working on you guys doing a podcast. We want to bring in more brothers, especially around your age, 30 something, 20 something, before they have taken those commitments, right? They may have a girlfriend. They may be struggling what church they're going to join. They may going to college, out of college, starting their career. These are the men we want to catch early, because one of the things I want Men Going God's Way to be is a place in where what we're selling, what is the product that we're selling? Now, coming from the mind of a marketer, because that's what I do in my job, sales. What are we selling? And I think what we're selling is brotherhood. And you will laugh and people say, that's it? That's valuable.
Right.
I mean,
that's a niche.
Yeah.
It's a niche. It's give me 2 to 3, 4 brothers that love each other and trust each other and are honest and they could trust each other with their own life. They could rule the world. They could conquer anything. Look what, when you look at the memoirs of Alexander and his 4 generals, these were his 4 boys that he grew up with, right? And they trusted each other. Now, yes, there were some issues between them, and eventually, they got into fights. I think Alexander got into an argument, a big scuffle, to the point he put a knife in Cassandra's throat.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Cassandra.
So they were not perfect men, right? And clearly they were not righteous men, right? These were conquerors, right? They felt they were ordained by the gods to rule the world, and so forth, so on. But I don't think Alexander would be that successful if he didn't have men that he could trust.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly.
Because even the Bible says that that the 4, it was like 4 horns or 4 winds, and these are the 4 men that the horns came up with. It's confidant or something like that, and things of that nature. And then we could see historically that was true. So I'm saying that is that trusting men, me able to trust you, right, with my life, and you able to trust me with your life, that's a rare occurrence. Because men know each other, men hang out with each other, men have friends, we're cool, but friend needs to be tested. And one thing I want to do, especially with men going God's way, is create the environment to put us to the test. And I think it's, working together, doing a project together that is hard and difficult, figuring out where's our weaknesses, where are our strengths, right? But more importantly, a place and where men could be men, and we don't have to apologize for being men. We don't have to apologize for believing in our God and being comfortable and talking about these subjects, whether it be polygamy, whether it be the proper place of a woman, whether it be economics, religion, criticizing our religious leaders and so forth, so on. I want men going God's way, this platform would be that safe place, if you will, that platform. And I know that you guys are working behind the scenes. I know, Brother Rick, you and I are talking. We have to get some equipment. We're gonna do some big things, and I want to focus because, I'm getting old, and when you get old, sometimes you get, you get set in your ways, right? You guys are still out there, and I want to get more guys that are out there that are maybe going to clubs and bars and see what's out there. What do they see? And I'm not saying that we should be in that environment, but I'm saying just that I want people to travel. I speak to Brother Joseph all the time, who's in Africa. He's another member of Men Going God's Way, and he opens up that world for me. What's going on in that world, right? So I think we have to get men from different points of view, whether it be guys that did 25 years to in jail, a guy who's been a police officer for 25 years, and get their experience and so forth, so on. And having the common denominator is God Almighty. We believe in the God Almighty. We believe in the Bible, the God of the Bible, right? And that's what joins us together, right? So I just feel that we have to talk about these issues in regards to like what is attacking, why is the divorce rate is as it pretty much mirrors society. There's no difference. We should be ashamed over that. We should be embarrassed if that's the case. But I wanted to kind of digest the reasonings. And if we could find the reason why, that's kind of half the battle, right? Now we know why. Now we could strategize to defend against that and things like that. And one of the reasons that we is important is because I think the Bible is a good thing. The church is a good thing. Us waking up that we are the children of Israel is a good thing. All is a good thing. Why, when we look at these institutions, there is so much drama going on. There's so much division. There's so much, I don't know. And it's like, even I was talking to a friend of mine that even in the Hebrew Israelite community, we haven't gotten our day in the sun, as they say. We don't have our Malcolm X, our Martin Luther King, our leaders that we could look up to and proud and things of that nature. And every time you hear the word Hebrew Israelite is part of negativity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a shame. It's just a shame that is the label, right? And hopefully, men going God's way, we could shift it to we could shine a little light, a positive light into the subject matter, because it's demonized, and it's I just don't like it. I just don't like it. But there's a divorce thing. My heart goes out to you guys, young men that are trying to figure this out. Um, it's hard, because you live in the world, especially if you believe in God. It's America has become is surely becoming the manifestation of Revelations 18 when it says, "Get out of her, my people, for she has become the inhabitation of every hateful bird in spirit." Not some, not most, every.
Every.
So my heart
Yeah.
goes out to you guys. You guys in your prime of your life. You guys should be right now in a perfect world talking about, next kid is coming down the pipe. You just marry a new wife. She's going to help your second or third wife. You're starting a new business. You're prospering. We're working, networking in a perfect world, right? These are the problems we should be having, right? I need a bigger house because my family is growing, right? I need to expand my business. I need to, hey, brother, can you, these are the conversations that we'd be having. But now it's like a young Christian man with all this temptation. It's almost, you understand what I'm saying? I mean, when I was coming up, for you to sin, you have to get out your house.
Yeah.
For you to do
Yeah.
something right now, it's on your phone. It could come, sin could come to you. You could, Uber send to your house.
Uber sent to you. Yep.
You know what I mean? And so my heart goes out to you, young brothers, man. That's why we have to have mercy. We're gonna do mistakes. Uh, but I just want a place that we could have accountability, but we could understand how tough it is, and we could go, these pitfalls that we could help these young men out. Because I think part of the issue being young is finding your purpose, right? Because how long it took you guys to find your purpose? Like, did you remember how their life looked like when you didn't have a purpose, or you're trying to figure life out?
It took a
Was
while.
it fun? If you don't, some people, it may be fun not having a purpose, just living day by day, man. Just let it rock, man. Just enjoy the journey. I don't know what's
Oh, it
your
was a
experience?
ball. It was a ball not having no purpose. You just out there winging it,
Okay.
Most people ain't gonna be honest. Sin was fun. The world was fun. But
Yeah.
when you wake up and you're like, wait a minute, I was living in the matrix and I got responsibilities and I got to be accountable and my day of judgment is gonna come. It's like, oh no, I gotta get on the ball. But then when the
Yeah.
purpose comes, when the purpose comes, you wake up every day and you motivated to do. And you're gonna have your ups and downs
Yeah.
with even having your purpose. But once you get it, it motivates you and you can put all the distractions to the side. You can start cutting out bad influences, whether it be women, friends, alcohol, drugs, pornography, television. You start cutting things out of your life that was actually really more destructive to you when you didn't have a purpose, and now you pretty much laser focus.
Right. Right. Do you think that purpose, or having a lack of purpose, affects a man the longer he lives? Meaning, when you're young, you don't. I don't know what I want to do with my life, bro. I'm just having a
Mhm.
good time, bro. I got
Yeah,
a six pack. I'm in the
yeah,
beach. I'm chilling. You get what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, what you want me to,
Uh,
but the older you get, you're like, okay,
yes,
you got to find purpose. And that's when the depression comes in. If you
mhm,
don't find something to do, or to get up in the morning,
yeah,
I just gotta, so I think it's an excuse. I mean, every young man, I believe, in your 20s, you got to hustle so then you could chill and because the problem is, the reason why we were retiring much later, some people working in the 70s, is because they start getting serious about money and their retirement and their business later. Make sense?
mhm,
But if you
yeah.
hustling you know, you could be retiring, especially these days when you do some money market, you put $300 a month in some, you know, some investment, you know, escrow account. Time you're 40, you know, you got $1 million. You know what I mean? You now more than ever, you have more accessibility to these type of things. But I think people are pushing that off. I think, you know, easy time make weak men. You know, weak times make, you know, make time. Weak men make times hard times. You know, make times hard, right? So, but Brother Ricky, you wanted to say something before we end the show.
I think another thing also is that what was I gonna say is that I think what's hurting us is the fact. No, that's the other thing I want to talk about is the fact that we're not, when men don't have when it was easier. I think this it was easy to have fun in the world when the Most High ain't really got His hand upon your life, because you ain't got this thing pinging in your head that something ain't right. Like, cause I can remember when I was out there being a knucklehead and doing stuff I ain't had no business doing. Like, okay, I'll give you a clear example. I remember when I was like 20 years old, you know, I was underage, but it is what it is. I used to wonder, how could a person get so drunk that they pass out or they couldn't remember what happened the next day? To me, I believe that's impossible. I just always believe that people was lying. So I set out to try it. But I found myself, well, I could get jacked up, you know, both smoking weed and drinking. But I get in that car to go drive, my mind just is like, okay, listen here, you know, we gotta get to the house. There's people walking around, traffic lights, you know, this and all this other stuff. But you know, when you ain't got when the Most High ain't really got His hand over you, you just out there. You know what they say? I'm out here head first. You know what I mean? But then when the Most High does have His hand over you, it's like this thing that's like, man, I gotta change. Like, something just ain't right. But then you having fun, but then something just tugging on you. And so, you know, I think that's another component, is that if the Most High got His hand upon you and you keep bucking against it, then eventually He gonna be like, you know what? If you don't love me, then go about your business.
Yeah.
But if you keep inquiring on it, like, man, something ain't right, then you reading certain stuff, and then you still going out there doing your thing like you want to do, you're gonna have this, your mind gonna be boggled and you're gonna be problemed. And so then, yeah, you going to work, yeah, you paying bills. So yeah, you doing the worldly thing of being a man, but you're not being a man according to the Most High. And so, and that's what I had wanted to throw in there.
Yeah, it's purpose. You're right. I think when you're young, you're not looking for purpose. You're just looking for fun, right? And the reason why that is because this society draws young people to fun, right? And that's why I believe if you want a monogamous community, you got to have a conservative community, right? Because it's unnatural ultimately for men to be monogamous, you know, because he desires multiple wives, or that's like a natural, that's like a weird thing. So if you have to suppress that, but you have sex, drugs, and rock and roll and hip hop and everything else in between accessible to you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because that was like what I noticed is that as a young man, I grew up as a Christian. My father was a pastor, right? I that was always in back of my head, right? But like the minute I saw women in clubs and beaches and let's go to Mexico, the temptation of the world, I was like, let me hold on, I'll deal with God later, right? So I think in the beginning, a young man, especially if you're a young man and you believing in God, just understand that this world is designed to make you sin. It's like it is drug for a drug addict. It is sinaholic. It's if you're going, if fornication and sin was a drug, and the world is a drug dealer, right?
Yeah.
Temptation,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know how you guys do it now because spandex is everywhere. I mean, every mother and grandmother and like, dude, like, it, there's no, you understand what I'm saying? To the point, it's like even the women you don't want to see in spandex are wearing spandex these days, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, Elder. It's like for us, it's like well, I'll speak for me, and brother Ricky agree with me when we
Yeah.
talk about it. It's sickening now.
Are you guys
Like we
used to
don't
because you
want to
guys grew up with? You guys grew up, like, you get what I'm saying? Like I remember when that was not a thing, and now it is a thing, right?
spandex, the twerking, the half nudity. It's like now it's like cover your. I don't want to see you like
The
that.
Yeah,
the the,
yeah,
the juice ain't worth the squeeze, you know.
Yeah, the juice
And
ain't with the squeeze. There you go.
me growing up in Florida,
Yeah.
you know, and it be hot all the time. I'm used to seeing women basically half naked. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Because it's hot. So women are wearing halter tops and bras, and you know they got the booty shorts with the shorts open, and then you got the moose knuckle all sticking out, stuff like that.
yeah,
Growing up in a young age, you seeing that, you like, oh boy, yeah, look at them thighs right there. You
yeah,
get that. But then after a while, when you done did a couple things, you know what I'm saying, you done dealt with this kind of woman, and you done did stupid stuff, then it's like
yeah,
when you really, and once you done got a hold of your purpose or where you trying to get at in life, it's like I it's not entertaining me no more. Like I done seen it all. Like a woman want to build with a man, but yet you still got your foot out there where you want another man to see you like that. And it's like, well, you go ahead have that. Like, you
yeah,
know, and I think that's the other problem that we got is like, and I think you said it before, Elder Gabar, like probably a couple months ago. A lot of these younger dudes ain't had no experience in life for real.
yeah,
They're still novices just in life. So
Mhm.
then they're looking for this kind of stuff.
yeah,
Versus I remember growing up as a teenager, 15, 16 years old, we were talking about cars, having our own, you know, because we understood having that basis is the key of having
yeah,
women,
yeah,
you
Mhm.
know.
yeah,
And so I think by us being so young, putting women on a pedestal, then as we got older, it's like, man, listen, if you ain't getting on my page, man, you go ahead, go on somewhere with all that.
right. And what society needs to understand, men and women. The reason why the Bible has these laws, like women wear, um, wear modest apparel,
Mhm.
cover up your nakedness. Only your husband can see your nakedness. And culturally, the Muslims got this the way their women dress from us,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
From the body of the Christians, the Hebrews, right? That's how women used to dress modestly and cover up. What the devil tricked the women to, okay, we tell women to cover up to suppress our temptation, right? Which is true.
Right.
Let's keep it real.
Mhm. Mhm.
Cover
Yeah.
up because I don't want to be tempted, right? The
Mhm.
devil convinced the woman. The reason why men are oppressing you and with what you're wearing is because they're the one with the problem. They're the one that can't control themselves. So why you have to wear this big robe or right? Because
Mhm.
of men, if you want to wear more comfortable, right? You don't want to wear a bra. You don't want to wear this. You want to, yada yada yada. You like wearing a comfortable your comfortable jeans. Why do men is going to tell you what to wear,
Mhm.
right? And technically, and this is how Satan is smart. Technically, Satan was right. We do want women to cover up because we don't want to be tempted by that,
Mhm.
right? even though many of us would not act upon those things, those actions, because we believe in God, it still takes energy and effort to say no.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We don't want to do that. So
Right.
cover your butt, your behind up. Modest, right? But what Satan did not tell the women, because Satan lies through the emission. He doesn't tell you the whole truth. He tells you some of the truth, because half a truth is still a lie. If you if you don't tell them the other half, right?
Mm-hmm.
What he didn't tell women is that women would naturally, and their shortcomings. Yeah, our shortcoming is temptation,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So cover up. But what Satan didn't tell them is that once they derobe and wear their spandex, what Satan is going to didn't tell the women is that you're going to like it, because women like to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What Satan did not tell the woman is that women are going to become addicted
Mm-hmm.
in that desiring.
Mm-hmm.
So when men were telling women cover up, it was not only to protect ourselves from temptation, but it's to protect women from what? Vanity.
Vanity. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You think back in the days, the righteous women did not know that when they were hot, they were hot? Yeah, they knew that.
Yeah, they know.
Judith and the Apocrypha. Remember, she was mourning for 3 years for her husband, and then the enemies were attacking Israel. I think Judah. And what she did, she took off her mourning garment and put her beautiful dress and walked in and asked very femininely, and she was a beautiful woman.
Mm-hmm.
And went in there and cut the head of the king while he was sleeping, put it in a bag and show Israel the Lord has delivered us, right? She used what? Her beauty. So women knew back in the days, how can beauty manipulate men?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because even the Apocrypha said, what kind these people have to be great to have these beautiful women like this. That's actually said in the Apocrypha. So women understood their power, or the power of beauty back then. Right? But they also understood
Mm-hmm.
that they need to control themselves, because that could be addictive.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because if Ruth didn't have enough self-control, and she's like, you know what, I got away with killing the king. You know what else I could get away with? What else?
Yeah, they don't want to be honest to say it is addictive. They
It
don't
is
want to be
addictive.
honest. That's
Right.
why
So
the
it becomes a circle.
OnlyFans
Yeah,
and all that kind of stuff.
it becomes a circle.
Yeah.
So we telling you, sisters, to cover up is not only to protect us, but it's also protect yourself from us, or from yourself, really.
From yourself. Yeah.
Because myself and my beloved brother, Elder Ricard, we got into a big argument over when I did a class about women in the church have to stop with the selfies, and I was chastising the women and things of that nature. Right? That we ain't no different from the women in the world. Why, every 5 minutes you go, looking good, and, it was a lot of, let me masquerade my vanity by throwing a scripture in the mix. Praise God, and, and let me do my, oh, glory, cleavage and everything, right?
Yeah. Proverbs 31.
It's okay, Proverbs. I would throw it Proverbs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everything got worked out and things of that nature. And eventually, I think he also saw it as well, that we need to have these tough conversations in the church, but it is addictive. So therefore, when men are telling women, hey, cover up, don't look at it as like, oh, you're just doing it for your benefit and my inconvenience, because I don't like wearing this big dress. Well, I don't like, you get what I'm saying? I don't want to wear a bra. I just want to, right? Because that's what Satan is telling them, right? But what they also was saying they didn't tell them, and what else they also need to, they could get addicted to being watched. They're gonna get attention, and getting attention is addictive. Ask movie stars, they ain't hot anymore. You go to a withdrawal. That's why even women models have talked about this. That like after they hit 40s or 50s, they're no longer the ick factor. They go to a depression, right? And then what Satan didn't tell women, while he was tricking them about your freedom and men oppression. If you cannot hold up to the standard of beauty, you're gonna go crazy to the point that you're gonna even mutilate your own body, put stuff in your body, BBLs and all kinds of different. And now that reports are coming out that these some of these BBL a smell, odors coming out. It's because they trying to cut some corners or whatever, or get a cheap price, or go to a third world country, and some guys claiming. There was one case, cement was put in that woman's buttocks.
Yep.
Yeah, the woman was put in prison. She think she was in Georgia.
So it's not only for our benefit, sisters, for your benefit. That's not a healthy way to live. And sometimes you have to replace one addiction with another. Get addicted to being righteous. Get addicted to, because that it's also a high there. You also get a kick there when you do righteousness, right? When you give to the poor, it feels good. Thank you, right? When you donate something, or you help people, or you do good, right? It's also a high. So I think this covering up, sisters, is important. And I'm seeing it even that I remember that the dress code that I was telling this, when I was in GOCC is like, you have, I didn't say below your knee, I say by your ankles. Because, if you touch it below your knee, they're gonna try to go right in the borderline where it's acceptable. And sister got big thighs, the minute they sit down, that skirt's gonna go up, right? So skirts are also evil, are also temptation. Half your legs, half your lower body's exposed. You got these little skirts, right? Long dresses, right? And the less tighter it is, sisters, when you have a long dress, you let your private parts breathe. It has been proven scientifically. The tight clothing for women, tight jeans, tight, everything is tight. It's not good. A lot of yeast infection, a lot of this, a lot, you know what I mean? So there's a reason why. Natural cotton, right? It's I want women to start looking at their righteous, let's bring righteousness back. Right. Let's bring and yeah, if you're gonna use social media, sisters, I know I'm coming down a lot on the sister day. I'm gonna deal with the brothers too. Don't just put a picture of your face, right? Come up with different ways to say, okay, I'm gonna do a video about different hair coverings and how to style different hairstyling. Show you different dress to show sisters like this is how. Oh, you look good, sister, in that dress, right? Start making righteousness great again, fashionable, cool, hip again. Because right now, all the young girls are watching the dots, the BBLs and the booty shorts and the dancing, right? The twerking, whatever, right? So we have to start coming up with a different fashion, right? Because I think what Judah, Benjamin, Levi, but strictly is Israel in general, we have the power of influence.
Right. Yep.
And we have to use it for good, not for evil. Any last words before we end the show, brothers?
I just want to say that, on both sides, for the men and the women, just Satan is Satan's objective is to separate both so that he can have dominion over the earth, and neither side can be enablers or contributors to his overall plan to have dominion over this earth. Men need to focus on what the Most High told man in the beginning to have dominion over this earth and how to do it. And women has to go back to and keep reminding themselves of what the Most High created them to do as well, so that both man and woman can work together to regain dominion over this earth and not give the enemy what he's looking for day in and day out, which is to
Yeah.
separate us so he can have control. But
Amen.
with that, that's
Amen.
it.
Amen. Brother Ricky, any last words?
You know, to back up Brother Duran on what he's saying, you know, beloved sisters, you know, those who in righteousness and those who ain't. I want you to think about the reason why the music industry, Big Pharma, and all these corps sit up here and use y'all. Because they know that you have the power of influence, but they know good and well if they just manipulate you to make you believe that you're this and you're that outside of the Most High's construct, then they will misuse you and you will think you got it going on. You know, it's a book called The Legend of the Jews. I can't remember what volume it's in because I done read about 3 of them. It said that Sarah, her beauty, she was so beautiful that every woman in all of Egypt was compared to apes to her beauty. I want you to think about how they talk about you, but then they go out working out to get hips like you, to go get a body like you. Originally, our women had the most beautiful hair. My mother, you know, she passed away, but my mother, her hair was naturally long and straight. Black woman. So to say that, oh, you gotta go get weave in your head, you gotta go get this Indian people Buddha stuff all in your temple and stuff, glue and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
They're jacking you up to make you jealous, then make you look at your men to divide us. Why is that? Because we shape the world. But if you don't step the game up and realize, hey, we run the women, then we're gonna lose.
Right.
So all I'm asking is, sisters, work with us, because together we're a powerhouse they can't stop, and they know that. That's the reason why they keep putting Red Sexy and Cardi B and all these weird little tricks in front of y'all.
Yeah.
Remember, tricks are for kids.
Yeah.
It's time to grow up.
Yeah. And let's stop promoting righteousness and let's start condemning wickedness. Meaning, if it's a new Cardi B, let's condemn that. The sisters, like, nah, sisters, we ain't rocking with this sister. Sister, cover up. You have to shame these people, because what these music, moguls and these, labels, what they do is they look for the most ratchet person with half talent, the low ratchet the better, and put them in Front Street. And let that be the example of the sisters and the brothers. We have to stop that. We have to call it out and not support it, and start promoting righteousness. Righteous artists and artists that are about something positive, right? But it's we got to fight fire with fire. So I do appreciate you brothers coming in and showing your support, and we're gonna try to continue doing this at least once a week, just with the brothers. We got the Shabbat class every Saturday. We're gonna be talking about biblical things, but I want to just talk about of course, the Bible's always going to be here, and the truth is always going to be here, and God is going to be always in the midst. But I want people to just talk about things that men struggle with every day, and we have to talk about that. And then I think there's a negative stereotype that if men talk about not necessarily their feelings, because that's not how we communicate, but our struggles and what we struggle with, we call weak, whining, stop talking. And yes, when we are talking, we're talking to come with a solution. Well, we ain't gonna come every week and whine and cry, or don't come with a resolution and accountability, right? So not only You could come if you want to cry. If you want to say complain about this, and I hate this, and I don't like my job, and I'm struggling with this, and okay, let's come up with a game plan on how to make it better.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then this will be the place you could come back and give us a report and see how you're doing. See how if you're doing better. If you complain about your health, what are you doing about it? If you complain about your spiritual work, what are you doing about it? Right? If you complain about your economic situation, what are you doing about it? Right? Talk about it. Yeah, bring it out. But eventually, we're going to come up with a game plan. And I hope this will be the platform for that. So every week, we're going to come up with different ideas. I'm going to try to bring more brothers, as well. Even brothers that may not be part of Men Going God's Way. I got family members. Maybe you may have a friend that may have an interesting point of view that perhaps we don't see, right? And the scripture says that the sons of the world are wiser than the sons of God or the sons of light. I'm paraphrasing because sometimes, we need to get information from people that probably don't see the world the way we see it. We may not agree with them, but at least they're bringing a different point of view because they're in that world, right? Because we are so sheltered, right? We're not out there. So sometimes it's good to get information. So, sir, thank you, brothers, for sharing this information and being part of this journey. And until next time, may the Most High keep you and watch you. Remember, Christ is King, and keep supporting, like, and subscribe. And shalom, peace and blessings.